Wouldn't be 2023 without one last disappointment.
You are Locked On Yankees, your daily New York Yankees podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On Yankees, which is part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thank you for making us your first listen every day. I'm Stacey Gotsoulias, and with me, as always, is my producer, Steve Granado. Steve, what's going on?
Hey, what's up, everybody? This, again, I said it yesterday, Stace, but it feels a little bit like last day of school here. A little last day school vibes. Thanks so much for clicking on the show here. Season just about to wrap up. We have to get to your questions. One last Fanmail Friday for you folks. We have some questions from our YouTube community and, of course, our subtext community, so we're going to get to that later on in the show. Stace, last game last night in Toronto, 6-0 loss. The Blue Jays finally look like the Blue Jays.
Yeah.
And I don't know, depending on your vantage point, the Yankees finally look like the Yankees.
Look like the Yankees. Yeah. I was thinking that in my head. Yeah.
Yeah. It's a tough one last night, man. We knew going into that game 3 that Chris Bassitt has been as advertised all year. And he did it again. He did it again against the Yankees last night. So it's just the offense just really didn't do anything pretty much at all. Really. I mean, Oswaldo had 2 hits. You know, that's kind of where we're at. We're picking that part of the equation here. You're just going, I mean, that if you're going from the Blue Jays here, if you're a Blue Jays fan, that's exactly what they needed. They needed that so bad last night heading to this weekend against Tampa Bay. They really, really needed that win.
Oh, yeah, because we were talking about it before we started recording, but I was watching Locked On Blue Jays because they have 2 new hosts taking over until they hire a permanent one. And they were just so upset that their Blue Jays were looking so bad against the awful Yankees with the way they were making it sound like, how dare they only get 5 hits in 18 innings against the Yankees. And then one of the hosts was like, well, all right, it's Michael King and Gerrit Cole, and they're both pitching well. So it's not like they're, not scoring against Clark Schmidt. But it was just funny to hear them complain about that. And I figured going into Thursday's game that the Yankees weren't really going to have a shot at that one. And I was just happy with the 2 out of 3. And I was kind of going into it like, okay, I mean, they'll probably lose. It's fine. But I wasn't that happy about the non-existent offense. But Chris Bassitt is really, really good. So It's not that surprising.
It's not. It's just disappointing. And you would, I mean, to be able to walk out of there with 3 would have been magnificent.
Yeah.
Really something there. To be fair, 20 innings of shutout baseball ain't nothing to sniff at, man. Yeah. 20 straight innings before the Dalton Varsho homer in the bottom of the 3rd to lead off the inning there. Look, that's Luke Weaver's last outing in a Yankees uniform. He's gone after the season. He was just a stopgap, just a guy to eat some innings, and that's where you're at. Didn't think he was going to give us 5 1/3.
Yeah,
no, 4 innings, 2 earned, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, not great, but, when you see his numbers before he came to the Yankees and his, overall numbers, I mean, that's almost a miracle against the Blue Jays.
A little bit, yeah. I mean, you'll take it, whatever. Again, these are pointless games. Whatever, man. It just would have been nice. It just would have been nice. Gave you 4 innings. Did strike out 6 hits, but again, that's basically, I can't foresee a Luke Weaver in the equation in 2024. I'm sorry.
Right.
No offense to Luke Weaver. It just doesn't make much sense for the Yankees. Greg Weissert, we've kind of touched on him a little bit here this season. We've been talking about him since spring training. I don't know, Stace, where are you at with Greg Weissert? I'm curious at your thoughts. He's kind of been like used in a multitude of ways where he'll pitch the 8th or he'll pitch the 10th or he'll pitch the 5th like he did last night. And I don't know. I don't know what the Yankees think of him. I think that's where my curiosity kind of lies. What did the Yankees think of Greg Weissert at this point?
Yeah, I feel like they don't know what to do with him because, sometimes he'll come in to be the guy that gets the last out of the 8th inning. Like if someone works into a jam, let's bring Weissert in. And, the last couple of times they did that, it worked out well for them. But yeah, I feel like they don't really know what they want his role to be. And I get that when you're a reliever, you can be called upon to come in at any point in the game, but I really don't know if they even know what they want to do with him. And I feel like we haven't seen enough of him consistently to really grade him at this point. 3 hits in an inning and an earned run, it's not great, but I mean, could be worse, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, compared to some of his other outings where he's gone really, really nice, he's looked really good, and the slider's working really well, and fastball plays up in the zone well, like things like that. I don't know. It depends. I think if you're talking about Greg Weisser 2024, I think a lot of that's going to have to do how active the Yankees are on the free agent market when it comes to relievers. That part, I'm completely in the dark on where they stand as far as their bullpen is concerned, because there are plenty of guys there, but you lose King. He's going to be part of the rotation here.
Yeah.
Wandy's gone, I just don't really know what the Yankees are thinking. I'm curious to see what types of moves they make in the bullpen. Obviously, kind of a retooling here in the offseason. Zach McAllister gave up 3 earned. Obviously, that wasn't great in an inning. But Yoendrys Gómez, man, super happy for him. He looked awesome.
Yeah.
2 innings, 1 hit, 4 strikeouts, man. The smile on his face made watching that 6-0 downpour completely worth it in my book. I was like, all right, good for him, man. I'm glad he finally got his major league debut.
Yeah, and it was nice to see everyone else when he went into the dugout, congratulating him and being genuinely happy for him. And yeah, like you said, the look on, like the smile on his face, I was just like, see, okay, that's a good thing. Like that's a thing to look out for, because we keep talking about that. Like these games don't mean anything, but little moments like that make them worth watching, and that made it worth sitting through a 6-0 loss.
That's the word. Yeah, makes it worth sitting through. Yeah, that was kind of how last night felt a little bit, unfortunately. I don't know, man. I just really wanted them to really stick it to him one more time before they got out of there. It would have been,
I did too.
It would have been so nice.
Yeah, I was really hoping for a sweep, because I would have liked to have seen more chaos in the wild card standings going into the last weekend. Because,
oh yeah, well, I mean, look no further than the NL wild card right now.
Yes,
it is an absolute frenzy. The Cubs this weekend have to beat Milwaukee on the road, and the Marlins head to Pittsburgh. So it's not looking good for the Cubs.
Pittsburgh's playing spoiler lately, so it's
a little bit
interesting to see. Yeah,
conventional wisdom. You're like, I don't know about the Cubs right now, man. I don't know. I did want to ask you this, Stacey. I didn't put it in the rundown or anything, but last night the Orioles did clinch the AL East. Do you have any thoughts on that, or are you kind of just like, whatever, man?
I mean, with the way the season began, and it looked like the Rays were just going to steamroll through the AL East, and Baltimore would probably finish second. It's impressive that once they took over first place, they didn't relinquish it, and they've just been amazing. I mean, kudos to them for doing it earlier than people thought, and yeah, I mean, good for them, because it's been a while since they've been in the playoffs, and people weren't expecting this, and it feels like the players realize that, and it's almost like us against the world kind of thing. And yeah, I mean, the AL East is, when you think about all the different teams who have won the division, it's not like years ago when it was always the Yankees in first place. Like everyone else has basically won the division at some point in the last decade. And it's kind of crazy how amazing the division is. So good for them.
Yeah, good for them, man. Happy to see them happy. Happy for Orioles Nation, because the last couple of years have been really, really tough out there.
I'm not happy for their ownership, though, but I'm happy for
what I was getting at. That's what the illusion was too. Stacey, we've been doing it for months, but it's time to throw those graduation caps back on. It's time to revisit our final bold predictions of 2023 for the Blue Jays series.
One last hurrah for us. Stacey, our final bold predictions of the 2023 season. As is customary, I will let you go first.
Aaron Judge is going to hit 3 home runs in the series.
Don't forget the score right now. 5 to 0.1. I'm going to go for a 5-pointer. There will be a no-hitter thrown in this series.
Oh.
I got to drop the mic on the last bold predictions of the year. There will be a no-hitter in this series.
Slightly nasally. Steve, you were so close.
I was actually close too. I mean, if
you were close too.
If Judge played in all 3 games, he probably could have hit 3 home runs. Thanks for that, Aaron Boone.
Yeah. Well, he's a big fan of the show.
Yeah.
He watches it. He's an everydayer, as we know.
I God, I hope not, because of things that I've said. So
I think you're safe.
I think so too.
Close, Stace. Close, but no cigar. The 2023
I mean,
season.
you were close. I mean, there were some instances there. I mean, Cole nearly had a no-hitter. I mean, he only had 1 batter get hits against him. So, yeah.
Yeah. Can we just for funsies give me 0.1?
I'll give you 0.1.
Hey, there it is. Final score, Stacy, you're our winner, 5-2.
I won something. Yay.
Yay, congratulations. You almost got that. Hey, a 2-homer game. You got that.
I haven't won anything since 1985, I think was the last thing I won. Won a cheerleading competition.
Congratulations. I'm sure you're still hanging on to that.
I am. I still have the trophy.
Hey, just wanted to give a PSA out to everybody as well. We've seen some questions being at Fanmail Friday. We see some people confused about what's the show going to be after this weekend. Nothing changes. Midnight releases, East Coast time, every day, Monday through Friday. Nothing changes on the show. We will be still 5 days a week until we say otherwise. We'll make sure to notify you when we change to eventually 3 times a week. But for the foreseeable future here, moving forward through the playoffs, we are still 5 times a week, Monday through Friday, midnight Eastern releases, audio and video. So don't worry, the show ain't going nowhere. But we have to go somewhere right now to a quick little break. When we come back, still crushing those segues. Fan Mail Friday questions, our last one of the season.
The MLB playoffs are around the corner, which means the clock is ticking on your chance to get 100 times your cash on your daily fantasy baseball. Baseball has never been more exciting than it is now, with studs like Acuna, Freeman, and Bellinger. Pick more or less on stats for these stars like home runs, hits, strikeouts, and more, up to a 100-time payout on Sleeper. Get your picks right and you could win big. I'm StaceFace826 if you want to connect with me over there. So just because your fantasy baseball team, your personal team, isn't going anywhere doesn't mean that you have to miss out on winning this season. So use promo code LOCKEDON and you'll get up to a $100 match on your first deposit. Terms and conditions apply, and you can see Sleeper's terms of use for details.
Back here on Locked On Yankees. Don't forget, your last chance to download the SiriusXM app over the weekend if you want to listen to some Yankees baseball. Catch John and Susan on the call, Kansas City Royals. Download the SiriusXM app today. On Monday, every day, or stick with us throughout the offseason, we will be reminiscing on the 2023 season, wrap up the final road trip, the final games, all 162 done. So we will wrap that up on Monday. And, of course, we'll just kind of talk through what was, and we have a whole bunch of stuff planned for the offseason, so make sure to hit subscribe. Part of that, we will be continuing our Fan Mail Fridays. We're doing one this week. We are not doing one next week, so just as a heads up, next Friday, that would be October 6th, there will not be a Locked On Yankees episode, so don't be refreshing your feed and trying to figure out what happened. It's not going to be there. So no episode on October, what was it again, 6th?
Yes.
6th. October 6th. No episode on the 6th, but throughout the week, Monday through Thursday next week. After that, Monday through Friday, like regular. All right, let's get to your questions here today, Stacy. Of course, we always go with our subtexters first. If you want to join Subtext and get some off-season info, rumors, and all the ins and outs of everything you need to know, that's going to be on Subtext. Sign up today, 14-day free trial in that episode description. And, of course, Fan Mail Friday priority. Stacy, our first question today comes from Betty asking us, has Florial done enough to prove to the Yankees that he should be the starting center fielder in 2024 or at least somewhere in the outfield? Thank you, Betty, for your question. Stacy, at this point, 3 games left. Has Flo done enough?
I don't think so for the Yankees. I think he needs spring training to do it. I mean, they could use him as an outfielder, but I don't see him starting in center field.
I'm going to go.
Is that fair?
I'm going to go way more cynical than you.
Oh.
My answer to you, Betty, is no. The only way Flo was going to start in center field in 2024 is if he tore the cover off the baseball.
Yeah.
And he hasn't. He
Right.
just hasn't. He had to prove them so utterly wrong in order for him to continue to stay on this team by next season. Could he be on the bench to open the year next year? Maybe. But I got to imagine the Yankees are going to be pretty busy this offseason when it comes to free agency, when it comes to trades. And I think they're going to have to make some sort of move regardless in the outfield. A couple of moves in the outfield regardless. So I don't think Flo has done enough. He had to completely prove them wrong, and he just, not that he hasn't played well, I think he's played pretty good, but he had to be batting 380, like
he had to be like Barry Bonds.
Yeah, he in their eyes, that's what he had to do. because look how many times he was passed up over and over and over for years.
Yeah.
They just didn't want him on this team. They just didn't.
I mean, they were picking Franchi Cordero over him. So
Yeah, they got him for that purpose specifically. That's why they got Matt Carpenter too. And that's why they called up Everson Pereira before they called up Florial. That's why they called up Jason Dominguez before they called up Florial. And the only reason Florial is on the team right now and not considered a minor league free agent is because Jason Dominguez tore his UCL.
Yeah.
That's it. That's the only reason. It sucks.
It does. It does.
I feel bad for him. I feel very, very bad for him. But I hope he can live out these last couple of days. I don't know if he'll be with the Yankees starting next season. They might DFA him. And at that point, he would elect free agency. All right. Thank you, Betty, for your question. Our next one is coming from another subtexter, Debbie. Hi there. Have loved the Minors Mondays for sure. Oh, thank you, Debbie. Also, do you think some of the animosity towards Gerrit Cole might be due to Houston Astros hangover? But if so, enough is enough. Stacy, you got your finger on the pulse. You lived through the Gerrit Cole Astros versus Yankees era. Do you think there's a little bit of a hangover here with Yankees fans?
No, their gripe with Gerrit Cole, because the one thing that they always complain about and hang on to is the 2021 wildcard game, when he clearly was still injured with that bum hamstring and they lost that game because he didn't pitch well. And I was looking at an argument on Twitter on Thursday that someone was having with someone else about that very thing. And it drives me nuts. I feel like he could win the Cy Young this year, next year, and the year after that, and people will still bring up that wild card game. And they always neglect to mention the fact that he was pitching on you can't pitch well on a bad hamstring, but he's the type of player that wants to go out there and try and do something. And maybe he shouldn't have pitched, but the Yankees put him out there with an injured leg. So let's not make it seem as if Gerrit Cole went out there and just was horrible for no reason. He was clearly injured and not himself. And I don't think it has anything to do with, I mean, people really kind of almost forget that he was with Houston. It's really that wild card game, and it's not fair to him. It's not. And I even had someone kind of try to get me because on opening day I joked and said, oh yeah, Gerrit Cole is washed. And it was, I think I tweeted it at like 1:50 that afternoon. It was after he had 7 strikeouts in 2 innings against the Giants, because it was clearly sarcasm. Then this guy picked out another tweet that I had tweeted last September where I said something slightly derogatory about Gerrit Cole, because I think he gave up another home run to a Red Sox or something like that. And I said, first of all, that's last season. Second of all, I've said on my show many times that I was way too hard on Gerrit Cole last season. And this season, he's showing us all, like, this is me, here I am. And I admitted that I was wrong about him last year. So that wasn't really a gotcha. But it's the 2021 wildcard game, has nothing to do with his time with the Astros.
It's weird that you mentioned that people kind of forget that he was a Houston Astro. And I think that may be partially because of how that era ended. There was camera after camera after camera pointed at Gerrit Cole after that World Series.
Yeah.
I vividly remember the image of him walking off the field. Vividly. And I remember going, well, that's that. That ain't happening anymore. He will never wear that jersey again. So I think it ended very, very poorly there for Gerrit Cole. So clearly upset and so clearly didn't want to have anything to do with that team ever again. So I think if there are people with those lingering issues, just watch back the final game of that World Series, and you'll know how he feels about the Houston Astros. Just my 2 cents. Thank you, subtexters. Thank you, Debbie. Thank you, Betty. You guys are great. We love you. We love you, subtexters. We love our YouTube community too. Don't worry. We love our audio community too. We never forget about you. This next one here, before we head to a quick break, Stace, this one's coming from a regular YouTuber. This is coming from Martin Ober. Did I get it right that time? I did. 249. I always get that name wrong. Martin Ober 249 asked us, who do you think will be the starting catcher in 2024, Jose Trevino or Austin Wells? Stacy, kind of in the same vein as Estevan Florial, has Austin Wells done enough to earn an opening day role? I'm going to quickly answer and say no.
Right. No.
No.
I feel like he'd be a great backup. I don't think he'd be starter. But you never know. I mean, maybe he has an incredible spring training and he like works in the off season and does something to improve with his defense or whatever. But I think it would be more backup. I don't think he'd be starter.
Yeah, I am. No, there's still too much contract wise. Not that they couldn't, say goodbye to Trevino or Higgy. It's 1 and 2 years here left in arbitration, so it's nothing crazy that you're getting rid of if you end up like going in a different direction. But Wells isn't ready still in my head. He's just not ready. He's obviously had a couple of flashes, hit a couple homers and stuff, but nah. Sorry, Martin. I don't think Austin Wells is going to be the backup. I think there's still too much in front of him. You got Higgy, you got Trevino, and you got Rortvedt. I'm sorry.
Oh yeah, I forgot about.
Don't even forget about Ben Rortvedt. Yeah, Wells is still 4th on the depth chart. Thank you, Martin.
Rortvedt has worked his way into being Gerrit Cole's personal catcher. So
honestly, yes,
not going anywhere. Yeah.
Yeah. I think Gerrit Cole likes it back there. All right. Thank you, Martin, for your question. We got a couple of more questions in just a second when we come back.
This episode is brought to you by DoorDash. You've trusted DoorDash to deliver your restaurant favorites for years, and now you can get grocery delivery too. You'll get exactly what you ordered, or they'll make it right. So sit back and enjoy quality groceries just like you picked them yourself. If you want even more value, you can save on all your grocery and restaurant favorites with a $0 delivery fee on all eligible orders with a Dash Pass membership. That's pretty cool. Just for watching the show, you can get 50% off your first DoorDash order up to a $20 value when you use code LOCKEDONMLB at checkout. It's a limited time offer and terms apply. That's 50% off up to $20, no minimum subtotal, and 0 delivery fees on your first order when you download the DoorDash app in the App Store and enter code LOCKEDONMLB. Don't forget, that's code LOCKEDONMLB for 50% off your first order with DoorDash.
Back now on Locked On Yankees. Don't forget to download the SiriusXM app if you want to listen to the Yankees this weekend. Your last chance to catch a little baseball from the Bronx. Well, I guess they're in Kansas City, so, that stuff. Anyway, download that today. Stacy, a couple more questions here, and we also wanted to give us give some thoughts here before we head into the final weekend of the year. Stace, let's get to those questions now from our YouTube community. This is coming from Angelo Reina, 5336 for both Steve and Stacy. 1, what teams are you rooting for to make it to the World Series? And 2, what teams do you think will actually make it to the World Series? Stace, what are your 2 picks there? I guess 4 picks technically.
I'm not really rooting for anyone to make the World Series. I'm like, let's be real. I'm Yankees only when it comes to that stuff. Am I pulling? Maybe I'm pulling for the Orioles just to really shock the hell out of people and make the World Series and even win it. I know some people are thinking that maybe the Braves will make it, but I feel like their pitching is going to kind of bottom out earlier than the World Series. I feel like someone else is going to come out of the NL and not be the Braves. And I don't know. I really don't. It feels like the kind of year that anyone could make it. Like it feels like there might be another, not quite a Washington, but a team that like maybe the Phillies will make it again. I wouldn't mind rooting for the Phillies to do it again because that would really piss off Met fans. And I like pissing off Met fans. That's fun. So maybe I'll pull for the Phillies to make the World Series again and maybe this time do something. Because I would love to see Bryce Harper be a hero in a World Series. Like, get like the Game 6 walk-off or something. Yeah. Like, I think that'd be cool, especially with what happened to him on Thursday.
Oh yeah. Sorry, Angel. My teams that I'm rooting for, I think my dream matchup, and this is a long shot here this weekend because of how they played here this week. My dream matchup is Baltimore-Chicago. I want Cubs-Orioles World Series, 2 historic, beautiful ballparks on national TV. I want that to go 7, 2 unlikely teams. Oh, that would be the absolute dream. But unfortunately, it's going to be Braves. I know it's going to be Braves. I don't know why you're so down on it, Stace. It's the Braves. Come on, man.
I feel like the pitching staff, I don't know. I feel like some of those starters are going to get...
It doesn't matter when you score 14 a game, dude. That offense is so dumb. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
We're going to have to watch the dumb chop on national TV again. That's what's going to happen. It's going to be Braves. And then in the American League, I feel like it's a bit of a toss-up. Gosh. I don't know, Texas. Maybe I'll go Texas. They're finally hot again.
Yeah.
Texas, Atlanta. is my actual pick. The pick I want is Baltimore, Chicago.
I feel like
All right.
Texas and Atlanta would be a very offense-heavy World Series.
Extremely heavy.
Like
Extremely
like
heavy.
that one game the Dodgers and Astros had in 2017 where they scored
Yes. Yep.
like a ton
Like 400
of
runs in one game. Yeah.
Yeah,
That was
the game that was
ridiculous.
never ending. Yeah.
Yeah, the never-ending game. Thank you, Angelo. One more question here, which is the last question of the season. This is coming from @Morris83. I can't imagine that he will actually win the MVP award, but given how great he performed when on the field and how poorly the team fared when he was injured, isn't Aaron Judge the real MVP this season? Stace, your thoughts on this? You can go in a million directions.
I mean, for the Yankees, yes. I mean, it is incredible when you think about, the time he was on the field, how well he performed and how far off the team fell without him. But no, I mean, no, no one's going to pick him to, well, you might see like a down vote, because they vote all different numbers and
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
You might see him pick up some, but no, no.
Yeah, when you go to his baseball reference page, it'll be like MVP-16.
Yeah, like 15 or 16, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, he had a great year. He's got to hit 3 bombs here in 3 games to get to 40, but we'll see. We'll see if he just goes crazy in Kansas City. Yeah, I mean, if there weren't somebody named Shohei Ohtani, maybe he'd get one. Corey Seager obviously also has a pretty stellar case, but it's Shohei's. It's done.
Yeah.
It's been done.
It's been done. Yeah.
It's
I
been
mean,
done. He hasn't
basically
played in
since,
like a month, and it's been done.
and it was done before that. I mean, really, by like July, people were like, "Oh yeah, no."
Oh yeah, yeah. As soon as Judge got hurt, and maybe it was like 2 weeks after that, is when I went, "Okay, well, this is over."
Yeah.
That's what I realized it. I was like,
Mhm.
okay, well, congrats on your second, and enjoy free agency.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's not get into that. Stacy, what we do need to get into one more time, guys. Thanks again for your Fanmail Friday questions all season. We really appreciate it. Like, you guys really make this show so much easier to do because of the Friday shows. It makes it so much easier on us, and we love doing it. But Stacy, going into the weekend, Kansas City, we will maybe see Frankie Montas here this weekend. We're going to see Michael King one more time. Your thoughts heading into the final weekend of the regular season. Some parting words for Locked On Yankees everydayers.
Oh, that feels like pressure. I just feel like this series, I'd like to see something from Carlos Rodon. I just want to see like a strong outing from him to end the season. I'm looking for that. He's starting tonight. I'm just looking forward to the pitching, really. I mean, I'd love for Judge to hit 3 home runs and make it to 40, and just to finish the season on a strong note and, finish the season, 83 with 83 wins. That would be better than what we expected, like 3 weeks ago when they were losing a whole bunch of, no, more than 3 weeks ago when they were losing a bunch of games. But, it's disappointing they're not making the playoffs, but, they can give us one last thing to, again, make it worth sitting through these 3 final games against Kansas City. Plus, you get to see Kansas City. I like when they play at that ballpark. I like how it looks on TV, and especially when
and they're trying to get a new one too. By the way,
I know why. I don't think they should. I don't know.
It's kind of in the middle of nowhere, to be frank.
Yeah,
Kaufman's in the middle of nowhere.
yeah, I've heard about
I've been
that.
there. It's kind of weird, and they share the parking lot with the Chiefs. It's kind of a weird setup, honestly. It's like right off the freeway, and you're like, where am I?
Yeah,
Kind of
Yep.
strange. It would be nice to have a downtown ballpark. There's a lot of great spots in downtown. Anyway, belabored
and the
point.
barbecue.
And the barbecue, and the museum, the New York League Museum. I've been there twice. I love it there. It's awesome. My parting thoughts here for the weekend: enjoy it while you can. Yes, it's been disappointing, and yes, you may think there's nothing to watch for, and hey, there kind of isn't. I'm not going to argue one iota here, but at the same time, it's a team you love, and you're not going to get to see it until April again. So watch it one last time. Listen to Michael K one last time. Throw on John and Susan one more time, and I'll leave you with this quote that I've been trying to live my life by here recently, which is something that gets said a lot in baseball, amongst baseball circles. And that quote is, "Be where your feet are." That's something that baseball players say a lot. Be where your feet are. Don't get too ahead of yourself, and don't think back into the past too much. Be where your feet are. So if I can leave some parting wisdom here for the final games of the regular season, be where your feet are. Just watch the games. try and enjoy it. Maybe watch it with a friend. Maybe watch it with a family member. You never know. You never know. Be where your feet are. And that's going to do it here for today's Locked On Yankees. I'm Steve Granado.
And I'm Stacey Gotsoulias. We'll see you on Monday.